Welcome here today. Okay, so today's topic on reflections of and setting your goals for the new year. So for for the most of us, we're halfway through our financial year, but for the Americans, they're pretty much at the end of it. And so, you know, when when we're halfway through this year, this is still a great chance to check back on the scheduling that you've been doing in May, because a half a year's just already passed, and see how you're tracking along to that overall. Are you have you scheduled out your works for the next 3 months? Have you reviewed your ATO list? Usually around this time, things start to die down. Clients are going on holidays. This is a really great time to make sure you take a look at your capacity and taking a look at your KPIs and seeing, what sort of hiring might you need to do in the second half of the year. All right. But I would rather hear from Ed and Jamie, to be honest, on this. They've lived through many, many more Decembers than I have, and I would rather hear from them on this. But starting with you, Ed, what are some important goals you've set for your team in 2024? You've got two teams now. You've got a Wize team, you have your Chan and Naylor team. But what's the core theme or goal that you're setting for them, Ed?
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, the team's growing, so the business is growing, so that's great. So I guess we're talking to firms not just in Australia but around the world, and but like in Australia we have a calendar year and we've got a financial year, and our calendar year is finished, but our financial year doesn't finish till the 30th of June. So for Australian firms, it's a reflection. It's seeing how the last 6 months have gone, your Fab Five,
Mm-hmm.
revisiting that and comparing it with your budget, and seeing whether you're on target or what part of the Fab Five that you're behind in, and putting extra effort in the areas that are not going so well. And for the firms that end their not only their calendar year but their financial year at the 31st of December, it's time for them to reflect on last year, the whole year, and then working towards the new year and redoing your staff performance reviews, wage changes, uh, changing the charge out rates for the new year, looking at your capacity plan, building that into your capacity plan, making sure that you've got the right number of staff in the right positions. And we often talk about playing in position and not out of position, and that's where you get the most efficiency from. So looking at your deep and narrow teams, making sure
And
that, yep, go
and
on.
with those deeper narrow teams, Ed, a lot of firms have also asked, should we pay out? Should we consider paying out bonuses around this time? Should we wait to the end of the financial year? Like, should we do something for the team, or is this a time to do it, or no?
Yeah,
When reflecting
well,
with the year.
yeah, for Australian firms, it's just part of you know making sure that you're on target, keeping the team informed as to where they're at in terms of the numbers, and so you should be doing this once a month anyway with your team, so they should be excuse me, they should be right on top of um, where their numbers are. Um, and we generally give a Christmas present, but not the bonus. Our bonus comes in at the 30th of June, and it's based on the profit for each team. So each team, you'll be measuring their profit, and for us, it's if we hit a 25% EBITDA, for me, it's a fair return on my capital, 25%, because if I'm going to tie up my capital in my business, rather than somewhere else,
Mhm.
I'd like a fair return, and I've determined, and everybody can use a different number, determined a fair return is 25%. So we measure each of the team's profit, and then anything above the 25%, we share that with the team. So so depending on,
Yeah.
excuse me, depending on where you are in the world, this might be a half a year, or it might be the
Yes.
beginning of the year. And if it's the beginning of the year, then it's time to do your budgets for next year, and to determine what the new budget's going to be. And you talk to your team about this. Your team leader, which is your senior client manager, should be heavily involved. They should be coming back to you with what they believe the next year's budget should be, and they should be setting those budgets and working out their capacity. And your team leader, the leader in each team, which is the client manager, should be doing all of this for you. And then once they've come back to you with
Mhm.
their budgets, then you put your whole company's budget together, and that becomes your measuring point for the next 12 months. And of course, from there, you got to start doing your scheduling, identifying which clients should be bringing their work in for which month of the year, scheduling it for the next 12 months. And then, your admin team should be calling the clients as the months are approaching to bring their work in, so that it's
Yes.
evenly distributed throughout the year, rather than sitting back and waiting for it to come to you. You should be, approaching your clients and asking them to bring it in a particular month of the year based on your scheduling for the whole 12 months, so that the work is evenly spread out for the next
Mhm.
12 months.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Ed. Thank you. I think a lot of that major theme there is really in just planning as much as possible. It makes me really think of, yours and Jamie's analogy of the sailboat or the motorboat. And it's either, you take this stock take at halfway through this financial year and ask yourself, are you actually in control, or you're just getting blown around by the winds that first half of the year? Okay, so Ed, I would like to come back to you. I would like to get an action item from you. What is one step we could take uh, the start of the next calendar year just to be a better leader? Like how can we be a better leader, or go into our firm and be a better manager? An action item from today.
Sure. If you've ever read the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey, he talks about, if you want to make the greatest change, you need to work on yourself first before you work on everybody around you. So as a leader, as the owner or the leader of your
Mhm.
firm, or the leader of your team, um, it is about being a better person, and stepping things up for the rest of the team, because they're looking to follow. So you can have the best systems in the world, you can have the best people in the world, but if you don't have good leadership, the whole thing falls apart. So if you expect your team to work at 100%, then you've got to go to 120. So if you go to 100, then they'll go to 80. If you go to 80, they'll go to 60 or 70. So they're always a little bit behind you. So you've got to lead. So the biggest thing I'd like to
Mhm.
do with you is to um, what helped me was focusing on the 80-20 rule, delegation, um, making sure that you're not starting tasks from start to finish, that you're getting somebody else to do 80% of it and you do the last 20%. So here's a very simple example: jumping in there and doing an invoice for a client from start to finish. Well, that's not managing, that's doing. So working
Mhm.
on yourself to manage, which is getting somebody else to do 80% of it.
Mhm.
They come up with a draft, and then you do the last 20%. So everything that you do should reflect that. So if you're doing a task from start to finish, then you're not managing, you're doing. And doing runs out of you run out of time. There's not enough hours in the day to do everything from start to finish. So you've got to learn as a leader to delegate.
Would it be fair to say, Ed, that just like those examples you said, those sort of things are what they call urgent and important?
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're doing the task yourself, it's urgent and important. It's putting out fires. It's reacting to problems that are occurring. And that's where you don't want to be as a leader.
Yeah, and I think, Ed, just to help everyone, I think some of the greatest, I guess, business people in the world, they always had to-do lists, didn't they? Like Bill Gates would wake up in the morning, everyone, and the first thing he would do is write a to-do list. And, essentially he would list what are the most important things that he needs to do to move the business forward. And, you can your to-do list can be made up of quad one activities, the next phone call to take, the next tax return to do, the next email to respond to. But essentially what you want to do on your to-do list, you want to have these not urgent, but important activities as well, Ed. And, often they're preventative activities, and in the Wize Hub, there's a list of things here that you should be doing. Understanding the ideal teams, understanding your capacity plan, classifying your clients, having client portfolios, and understanding the no bypass policy. So these type of activities are all these activities here. Even like scheduling a works on here. That's an absolute fantastic one if you can schedule a work. So all those type of activities that we've listed there, they're sort of these not urgent and important activities, preventative actions, training staff and clients, educating staff and clients, relationship building. And so I think, Ed, it's just drawing on what you said, it's easy sort of to get caught up in these day-to-day quad one activities. But if we put time aside and allow our to-do list to include those list of things, then we will move towards the direction that we want to go to, whether we're a senior client manager or firm owner or whoever.
Yeah, and as you may recall, Jamie, when I started working with you, you were spending most of your time in quad one, which is where I was. I was working over 100 hours a week, just trying to get things done and
I think that says it there. Yeah.
And until I started working in quad two, which is planning and preventing and educating staff and educating the clients, then I just kept putting fires out instead of putting activities in place to prevent those fires from starting again. And since I've been working in quad two, my hours start to drop to a point now where the business runs by itself. So I only do quad two activities like today. Today is a quad two activity, which is educating and helping everybody here to run better businesses. And that's going to have a far greater outcome than me sitting there and doing a tax return. So if as a leader and including your leaders of your teams, if you can encourage them to work on quad two, and the higher you are in your team, the more you need to work in quad two. Naturally, activities still need to get done. So there are people that will work in quad one, which is to get things done, but quad two is where the leaders should be working in. And I think the greatest thing is to put an hour aside in your calendar a day to do that, to work on quad two activities. And you'll find that the more you work in quad two, the less you work in quad one. So right. You may recall, both of us, when we're working in quad one, we're working really long hours, and there just wasn't enough hours in the day. But once you start working quad two, you go from thinking there's not enough hours in a day to I haven't got enough resources. They're not trained up enough. It changes your mindset around how to manage your business, because we all grew up as grinders. We all grew up doing the work. So all of a sudden, you know, we're running a business, and it's a different skill set. It's a different mindset, and you need to step up to the next level. Otherwise, you'll burn yourself out, and that's what was happening to me, and that's what's happening to you as well. And this is all Dr. Stephen Covey's principles, and they're very important.
Yeah. Yeah, what I found, Ed, was as I did more quad 2 activities, my quad 1 activities dropped off, but my ability to grow the firm with the team increased. So that was what I sort of found. The less quad 1 activities I did dropped off, and the more quad 2 I did, the ability to grow the firm and build the team went in this direction.
Yeah, and initially when you got so much work on, and you're thinking, where am I going to get the time from to train the staff? It's quick if I just did it myself. By the time I've trained them, I could have just done it. But that's the way you think. And you think, well, where am I going to get this extra time to train the staff or design a checklist, or, you know, but you find that if you put an hour aside a day and you just focus on quad 2 activities, eventually you hit that inflection point where the two lines meet. And when that happens, it's I got to a point when I went from 100 hours down to about, you know, 10 hours a week. And
That's right.
I'm thinking, wow, what am I going to do now? But of course, this constant fine tuning that you got to do, because when you're managing staff, it's a constant it's constant work. It's resetting the direction, resetting expectations, reinforcing your you know what your values are, and the direction that the firm needs to go in. Just constantly, it's just constant.
So anyhow, hopefully everyone's found this session useful, and reach out to the Wize team if you've got any questions. There's Ed and I, and there's all the mentors, and there's Ali, our Wize Hub coach, and Danny, and then there's quite a lot of us. So if you need one-to-one mentoring, we've always got Wize Growth, and we've also got the Wize Hub there that Selena flashed up as well. So it's got a lot of tools in there. Utilize the resources and lean in on the Wize team so that you can get the answers and get the new skills and the knowledge that you need to move forward. So we're here to help, aren't we, Ed and Selena and everyone? So
yeah, that's
we're here to help.
our way of giving back. It's like the shared knowledge that we've gained over the years.
Yeah. So always email us. The more questions, the better. That's it. We're here to help you. Well, Ed and I wish everyone a safe and happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we'll see you in the new year.
Yeah, we'll see everyone in the new year, and don't forget to take your scorecards. Yeah. See everyone. Bye. Bye.